Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode ever of Button Smash.
Yeah.
That's right. If these voices sound super familiar, it's because we should be, and because we used to be Backyardy Funky. But if you found us through that, guess what? Button Smash now, part of the Rogue Matter Network. I like saying that with a nice smooth, like jazz,
a little smooth yaz.
There we go.
Rogue Matter Network.
We're bringing you the classics from all your favorite video games.
But not tonight, because tonight we're talking about the latest and greatest of the video game consoles. And I'm going to be spicy on this when I say that, because I know we've got Xbox fans out there, but the PlayStation State of Play event happened just earlier today. We are hot on the scoop of this one, guys. So before we talk about what's coming up with PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and all of that, let's see who's joining us. We have Doc Chris.
Yes, I'm also coming up.
TV's Casey.
Yo.
Jay's Mac.
Hey, I'm in another realm. I've moved. Some things look the same. Some things are different. Help.
The Bad Coyote Sergio.
Welcome, everybody, to the best podcast you've ever listened to that actually talks about video games and all the stuff that you actually care about with a flavor you never tasted before. What does that mean? Taste a lot of flavors, but this one, I guarantee, you never tasted. Stick around.
Unless you listen to the Bad Coyote Funky podcast for 225 episodes, then maybe you might get a hint of cayenne in there.
Ooh,
Maybe.
Ooh.
But we'll see. And I'm your host for the evening, Booster Egg. Now that we've gotten all that business out of the way, the State of Play event happened, and we got, by my count, 16 games, 16 looks at games that we knew about, games that we didn't know about before, starting with Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot.
It's about time.
Don't
Never
you
heard of
mean
it.
Crash Bandicoot Galaxy? Because that's exactly what it is.
Super Mario Galaxy, but Crash Bandicoot.
Well, all right. So at first I was afraid. I was petrified. No, I was super jazzed about this game. It looks great. They showed an in-game play trailer that was narrated by the developer or producer, but whatever it was, he was very enthusiastic about it. And they cascaded how it feels like a classic Crash game, how it takes place right after the third one, how you can play as Coco for everything that Crash does, how there's unlockable skins that they were very clear to say weren't microtransaction based. Because apparently that's a thing that you have to do now because EA's ruined it for everybody.
And what's crazy is that no one expected Crash Bandicoot, anything like developer, producer, content creator, to say that. It's like, we don't expect you, Crash Bandicoot, to read the fine print and say there's no microtransactions. Like, I don't think anyone really needed that, but thank you.
Right? Like, okay,
Well,
we're grateful to have it.
But also with when they did the Crash Team Racing remaster, I believe there's microtransactions in that as well if you want. But again, it's all cosmetics and skins, things like that. And as you can obviously unlock some of that stuff through the gameplay as well. But the fact that there are some cosmetics that are in there, it's kind of a hybrid of what we've seen with the Insanity trilogy and this. So they just wanted to be clear that this is the case, that it's no buying it. It's all cosmetic.
I love how enthusiastic like the developer is too. He's just like, there's all new different things, and there's stuff for Coco too, the other character, but they're just aesthetic. But you'll be glad to know that you can have all this stuff, Morty. You can have it. You can have all these different appearances, and you can.
Hey, gamers, do you remember a time when you bought a video game and everything was included? So do we. Like, okay, cool,
I love that they made that a point too, that you don't buy these, you earn them, just like you did back in the day. And I was like, okay, I see what you're doing out here.
Yeah, I also didn't know that microtransactions had a acronym, MTX.
MTX, yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, I never realized that either.
I learned a bunch here too. But the power-ups in this game, which is what really made me draw the connection to Mario Galaxy. There's the power-up that makes things appear and disappear, which in Galaxy was when there were levels where you would spin and some platforms would change depending on that.
Mm-hmm.
There's the one that inverts gravity, which there's Mario Galaxy levels that are just like that. I do like that they added this cool like rail sliding thing, but it was just kind of one thing after another. And what really cemented it for me was the inverted mode, which
Yeah, I
is
like that.
fucking is
It's cool.
awesome.
It's cool.
I cannot express that they programmed a version like of each level that either adds color as you play it entirely in the dark for a new challenge, it's played in mirror mode, like, or maybe you even run through it backwards. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that they didn't even talk about. But this is the same thing as like the challenge comets in Mario Galaxy, where you got to run through it on 1 health, you got to run through it with less amount of time, you got to do it with more enemies, you got to do it with Shadow Mario clones running behind you. And don't get me wrong, I love Mario Galaxy. It's probably the finest Mario platformer made before Mario Odyssey came out, because they managed to keep outdoing themselves. But this is an excellent take in a direction for Crash.
Yeah, I appreciate the most. I'm not a big Crash fan. I don't think I've played a Crash game in its entirety.
They are tough as balls.
It's just
same here,
so
Greg.
it's just one of those things where it's like I didn't have a PlayStation, so like I never got access to it. And by the time that I had like my own PlayStation was PlayStation 3. Up until that point, I was just like hopping from house to house, like the hooligan that I was, just using everyone else's PlayStations. Crash wasn't really a thing. It was more Uncharted. It was Ratchet and Clank,
Naughty Dog.
like all that. Yeah, so like
It's
just
what Naughty Dog had moved on to after their
So
child
like
grew up.
this doesn't do a lot for me. What I think shows a lot of care and love put into this game is the inverted mode specifically, because like they didn't have to go that hard on this. They didn't have to make like the colorization, like it's also backwards, and it's like you have underwater mode, all this other stuff, right? They didn't have to, but they chose to. They could have literally just had every game reverse and then inverted colors, and then you got your inverted mode done and done. But no, they took it like that extra step. So I appreciate that.
I'm super stoked. I love Crash Bandicoot to the point where I may have gone a little hog wild, if you will, on my Switch and rebought the Insanity Trilogy and Crash Team Racing for my Switch, even though I have both for PS4.
Yeah, that is a bit wild.
Yeah,
Well, you gotta play it on the go.
I know. I was like, man, I really want to play Crash, and then I was like having fun with Mario Kart, and I was like, well, if I got Mario Kart, I might as well get Crash Team Racing. And I've beaten both the Insanity Trilogy and the Crash Team Racing on PS4, but I like it. I like it. I have a good time. I'm excited for more Crash. Let's do this.
Nice. We got another taste moving on with Hitman 3. Small taste, little snippet. What we've learned is it can now be played in virtual reality, which makes me really bummed that I don't own a PlayStation virtual reality headset. I got, the real one, the Rift. So what do you guys think?
I find this to be incredibly dangerous for the public, right? Like you're gonna have this over your eyes. And you're gonna just casually stroll up on your significant other and just like, you know what I mean? And you're gonna like take your goggles and be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And how are you gonna explain that to police?
Wow, the realism in this is just ridiculous. You can almost feel.
You can feel them struggling back.
You'd be like, wait, let me get this straight. You're playing some kind of video game and you piano wired your significant other. No. What?
I don't know how that's gonna work too well. Do you guys remember Manhunt?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Manhunt 2 for Wii. You use the
No.
Wiimotes. Yeah, it was like uncomfortable. I worked at this video store. I think I may have told this story before previously, but I worked at a video store and my boss had his Wii with him and we did nothing. And he was like, dude, you got to play this game Manhunt 2. And I played like maybe 10 minutes of it. But in that time, I just strangled someone. But literally, the controller that you're holding is two things in your hand connected by a wire. And you have to hold them as like you're strangling someone.
They thought of everything.
And it was uncomfortable. And I didn't like that. But
Yeah, it doesn't
whatever.
have that like feels good to kill people thing like Last of Us 2. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Well,
killing
What?
people
No,
is fine
wait,
in
wait,
Last
no.
of Us
What
Part
are
2.
you saying? What?
Also,
They're
Casey,
good vibe
how-
murders and
Casey,
bad
Casey.
vibe murders.
How many hours of Last of Us 2 have you played?
Exactly none.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. And with that, moving on.
wait, hold on. There was one more
yeah.
thing that they announced in that you'll be able to play the entire trilogy in
Oh,
VR.
yeah.
That's kind of cool. That
Yeah.
VR. So Hitman 3, yes, we kind of knew that was coming, but
Yep.
being able to play the whole trilogy in VR, that's kind of dope.
So you
Yeah.
can tragically
cool.
end 3 relationships instead of just one.
Damn right.
Yeah. All right, moving right along. If you were hoping for Braid 2 the game, you're going to be disappointed because they're remastering it. So what do you guys think?
Dude, I loved Braid.
I loved Braid, too.
absolutely loved Braid. For those of you who don't know what Braid is, it's a platforming time control game with beautiful aesthetics and an amazing orchestral, like symphony sort of like music. And there's the game is pretty much straightforward at first when you play through the game. You're like, okay, you're this like weird looking guy. You're just skipping and jumping through this like beautiful painted world with all these painted daubs. You're going after what looks like a princess. Like, okay, so you're like, it's like a knockoff of Mario a little bit, little Mario story. And then you find out.
Well, hold on. You're glossing over the most important part.
Big glossing.
It's Prince of Persia 2D platformer, right? Prince of Persia Sanda's Time. So you can actually like control time to an extent. You can rewind or fast forward and stuff like that. And there are a lot of puzzles. It's a 2D puzzle platformer that revolves around that mechanic. And yes, there's the story of like you're moving from left to right, you're going through, you're trying to rescue this princess, but you're kind of manipulating time as you go. Now, unlike Mario, you can't really jump on people's heads if I remember correctly. But yeah, this came out in 2008. It's been 12 years.
Yeah.
I can't remember what happened last week. So you want to talk about 12 years ago. That's all I got is high level stuff, but it was beautiful. Had all these collectibles and other things you can do. Like it was a great game. I think I beat it in one sitting. It was just so much fun.
I've never seen this before today.
Really?
Really?
It was really hard
so
to put this game down because as you went through, like the puzzles and the platforming just got harder and harder. You had to do different things with time. There are certain ways to get through a level. Like you have these like little Goomba-looking creatures, and if you walk forward in level, they'll walk with you, but you have to open something above you. But if they touch you, you die. So you have to like figure out how to get through there, how to rewind time, how to move forward and backward. They had all these like really, really cool time mechanics. Like there's a mechanic where you could even try and quote unquote like kill yourself to get through a puzzle, but rewind it and fix it. It was really interesting. There was all these different like speed running tactics and stuff like that. But like the music is beautiful. The story's really interesting, and at the end there's a twist to it. So this game's coming out in 2021, and I was just like, this is where the story's going. 2008, because maybe you are saving the princess, maybe not running from you. Oh no!
Oh yeah, with a suit like that, I'd run from him too.
Yeah. Wow, what a suspicious suggestion at the twist of the game there, Sergio.
Yeah,
not giving it away at all or anything.
Yeah, I gave it back in 2008. It's coming out in 2020.
No, I mean you're right though. What's the moratorium on spoilers for a video game?
Yeah.
Also, how many people are actually going to play it? But play it for the game mechanics and the beautiful visuals. And I still listen to the soundtrack today because it's something to not only have in the background when you're like getting work done or studying or whatever, but it's just something that really kind of like mellows and chills you out. And it's like I can't believe like they're remastering every part of it. And in this trailer, they even said the music is. I was like, wait a minute, what? Did they get like another orchestra together or something to get like another ensemble?
We got John Williams this time.
I was like, what?
They probably, in all honesty, just had like the master file somewhere that's a much higher sound quality. So they're just like, technology is better now. They could have like higher, like I don't know, music things. Sound better now.
Whatever the terminology is for music, that makes it better.
They got more music stuff.
Yeah, so they probably can afford like a larger file size for the music. So there you go. Because you think about it, in 2008, what was like it was what 2 gigs a game, and that was like a big deal. Now we're at what's Call of Duty like 110. Like it's stupid.
I remember back in 1996, you could have a 25 megabyte cartridge.
I remember when Destiny 1 came out. I was working at GameStop, and we had to tell everyone who bought it for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 that this was a large download and they need to have the space to download it. If they open it, they cannot return it.
60 gigs, wasn't it, on launch?
Yeah. It was ridiculous. But like, yeah, so like they could probably just afford to have just better sound, better graphics, all that stuff. They did say that this is gonna have, I'm gonna call it 9 times the pixel.
That's what they said. For every one pixel, for every one pixel, there's 9
9 pixels. Yeah.
So it's
and
9 times.
It's hand painted. animation.
Yeah.
And it looks beautiful, but like, let's be serious. They're just trying to get people to rebuy it. Like, not no one. I feel like very few people are going to pick up this game that are picking it up for the first time.
So here's the thing, though, that at this point, like, I've never played this game before, but based off of my conversations with people about like what I like for platformers, things like that, so many people have said you got to play Braid. So
Yeah, that's good.
It coming back around is kind of like, okay, why don't you play the games that you like are inspired by? So why not give it a second life if it's something that people really enjoy? So,
That's true. That's a fair point. Yeah.
I'm like, I might actually play this because I've had so many people throw this title at me.
But like, so why wouldn't you just buy the normal version if it's cheaper?
Well, there's one great reason why you should buy this version.
Why?
If you have any vested interest in something like game design,
Yeah.
the biggest selling point, I think, even for me, and I don't even have a big vested interest in game design, but just, I love documentaries and stuff as it is. They have promised what allegedly will be the most detailed director's commentary, like play as you go, about the game that tells you exactly how it was made. Like, I assume every single facet of like every square inch of this game is something that's going to be covered, which is a hugely ambitious thing to say. But that is, for me, that's huge. There's so few video games that have something like a director's commentary built in. Like, the only one I can think of off the top of my head is what, Half-Life 2, where they have you like walk up and there's or Portal has it also. You play a whole mode that's based around director's commentary like that. It just blows my mind that more games aren't. I guess.
Yeah, and there's a good point from Alex too. It also supports this smaller dev house, because this wasn't like a major company that did this. There was like an indie house. It was one of those like indie games from back in the day that was like, check this thing out. Important. Yeah, and I forgot about how I found out about the game, but I remember it was like a part of the selling point was like, oh, this is like an indie game, and indie games are a lot more, like, sometimes a lot more fun than the big like AAA titles, and you have like all this engagement because this small team or one person or just maybe one or two people were like pour their heart and soul into this game, into the visuals, into the music. And I remember thinking about like, wow, like a small team or like one or two people like made this game. Like, that's freaking crazy how they put this thing together with everything here. And another point he was making is that he's sure that they remixed the bit rate, and they probably remixed it in surround too. True, because now
Makes
like like audio has changed, and people have better headphones, better sound setups, better home theaters. And everyone that was younger back then could introduce people, because I know I've definitely recommended this game on stream. People are like, oh, like, what are some good games you play, or this, that. And I'm like, well, I wonder how you can play Braid, because wasn't it on?
It was on 360.
It was on 360.
It's probably on PC as well.
It's on Steam.
So here's
Steam.
let me
it's on
like
Steam?
back.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let me backpedal a little bit here, Alex. I'm gonna look right at the camera when I say this, Alex.
You're not going to zoom in on your eyes.
This is it is important to support smaller artful games, right? Because it is important. It tells a narrative. It is very interesting twist at the end. It's a great game. It's been available for sale this whole time. Literally this whole time. Like, you can go right now and pick this up. You don't have to wait for the anniversary edition. And
Braid's
it's still
on sale.
a wonderful.
Yeah.
It never went away.
Good use of names, Casey.
Every game is getting remastered now. So whenever I see a remaster, my eyes roll. I don't care what the title is. It's like, yes, like, I would rather see a new game, maybe a Braid 2, a new IP from this dev, than them rehashing the same old one.
Well, think of it this way as well, though, is that back in 2007, 2008, when it was released, there wasn't a big marketplace for indie games like there is now.
In 2008, that's not true. There's a huge push on Xbox 360. Xbox 360 was making themselves the indie platform. And then Sony, when the PlayStation 4 launched, said, no, forget those guys. We're the indie platform now. And then somewhere after PlayStation 4 launch, it all just kind of went away. Because you have things like Shadow Complex, Braid. What was that game? Furry the Game. I can't remember the name of that game. But it was
Furry
the Game.
I have it on my Steam library. I have to find it. There was so many
Greg,
great...
is there something you haven't told
Viva
us?
Pinata?
It was...
Viva Pinata is not Furry the Game.
No, it's not. It's not. There was this game. It was just anthropomorphic animals. It was like a samurai ninja game or something like that. Way of the Samurai, or Mark of the Ninja. There it is. Mark of the Ninja. Not that game, but another one. There are so many artful and great and well done indie games that came out on 360. And it was part of, remember, it was the Xbox Arcade, Xbox Live Arcade, wherever the hell it was, the marketplace. There were so many good ones. And every summer, Microsoft would have a sale on all of the indie games. And it was something that you looked forward to. And then somewhere in PlayStation 4, Xbox One, it just got lost. Sony made that huge because they hired Mark Cerny and they were like, oh yeah, like he's going to help all the indie guys. And then he just like didn't, I guess. I don't know.
Just bailed.
He just didn't.
But yeah, so like I would just rather, I think, see a new original piece from these devs rather than them rehashing this game. That's
Well,
just,
maybe they are. Maybe they're just doing this
that
on
would
the
be
side.
wonderful.
Maybe they're
So-
like, you know what? We're updating all of the graphics that we're going to put into the second one. They're like, wait a minute, why don't we just take the same like assets and move it over to Braid 1? Who knows?
So
This is
I
me
would
completely
be,
speculating, by the way.
I would
There's
be
no-
100% happy if they push this out so they can get funding, so they can self-fund a new game. Then I'd be like,
Could
okay,
be.
cool, yep,
Why not?
good, we're good. But other than that, I don't know. It's just like I just have this like weird sour taste whenever it's like remastered, and they call it like the anniversary edition. And it happened with Fable. Now remastered just anniversary. I don't know why. Like they're doing that, but whatever. Anyways,
It's like Double Fine. They put out a bunch of games that nobody cared about to fund Psychonauts 2.
Yeah,
And then
that's
they
true.
started like, a GoFundMe campaign to pay for Psychonauts 2.
Then they're panhandling.
That
Pay
money's
for
always coming.
Psychonauts too.
It's the future.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
it wasn't here today, which is a little upsetting.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's fine. But I'm just, if you just have the train of thought that Psychonauts 2 is not coming out, then you will never be disappointed.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when it does come out,
That's healthy.
you'll be delighted.
That's healthy. It's never happening. It's never becoming a thing.
It's like Greg in Kingdom Hearts 3. He
Yes.
didn't believe it was
And-
coming out until the day it was physically on his PlayStation.
Wasn't that your birthday too?
It was on my birthday too.
Yeah.
They were just like, I was like, this game's never coming out. And it was like, what, a month later, they're like, hey, guess what? It's coming out. And on your birthday, Greg. And I was like, it's definitely not coming out now. And Sony's listening to me at this point.
They were specifically like, we got to get this guy to stop saying it's not coming out. Release it on his birthday, then he'll stop.
And then I'm sitting there like, it's in my hand. And I'm like, no,
I
this
still
is
don't
not,
believe it.
this is just Kingdom Hearts 2.99.
Guys, wait. What if this is the bad place?
Oh!
All right, moving right along. There we
Moving
go.
right along.
Moving right
Along
along
the path.
to the pathless. Okay, the
Y'all got it.
pathless. So we have a PS. This is the first PS5 release that they're really kind of talking about, and this is actually, I didn't see this on any other state of play. This one is very interesting. What did you guys think of the pathless?
It looks like
A
like a
better
that game company
Journey.
game, like Journey, yeah, except that more actiony.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not a game I would pay $60 for. This is definitely not the price
No.
point that I'm looking for. Again,
Yeah.
it's indie, like there is still indie games, so I mean, it looks okay, but it's kind of like a PlayStation Plus-y thing for me. Like maybe if it
Yeah.
pops up there, I'll grab it, or if it's like I don't know,
Yeah.
$20.
I found it funny during their explanation that, like, there's no aim in this game. You just like timing for when you're shooting an arrow, and it does. It looks like a Journey or a Rhyme
Mhm.
or one of those puzzle games, but it has like a Zelda type boss in there too.
Oh
It's
yeah.
mixed
Yeah.
in.
Oh,
I'm like,
shoot
Very
the big,
Shadows of the Colossus.
Shoot the thing in
shoot
the
the
eye.
big eyeball.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. Like I could deal with that. If the game was just that, I'd be totally fine with it. I think just that repetitive all the time. But yeah, Chris, I agree. It's not a game that I think I'd be dropping $60 for.
well, I can-
I don't think this is going to be $60.
You don't think so?
No.
No,
This looks like a $20 game at launch.
Okay.
Maybe 25 if they're really trying to get the money out of everyone. But like for me, this is going to be a $10 investment. I don't think I'll pay more than $10.
Oh,
'cause-
I don't know about that.
No?
I thought this game had you written all over it.
No, it's like, so when it first opened up, it was like the movement is really like fast and fluid, and you get like your pet bird, and you're kind of going through. And
Well, hold on. Let me stop you right there,
What?
because it's an adventure
Yeah.
about a mysterious individual with a
Yeah.
seemingly long history
Yeah.
a flying animal companion.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah.
he has to travel all over the
She.
world.
Gee.
Whatever. The protagonist.
You're
I'll
the
get
worst.
to
This
it.
is why we can't have nice
The
things.
protagonist is
Yes.
traveling to different parts of the world that are each themed after a classical element.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You see what I'm getting at?
I see what you're getting at.
Oh, man.
However,
Wait, I don't get what you're getting at.
Oh,
It's
What are you
Avatar.
It's Avatar.
It's
Ah.
Avatar.
Literally Avatar.
You
Um,
you have spirit vision. You go into the spirit realm.
Yeah. It looks great. It's really cool. It's right up my alley. But like I think the movement when there's like, oh, you have to hit these targets to consistently move at that speed. I was like, but like, why? That just seems like I have to like physically play it just to see if it's
Can
gonna
I
be.
just move?
Yeah, that's
please?
Can I
gonna
just
that's
move
gonna be
like
a make or
normal?
break. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
it feels really good. We've all talked about how awesome
Yeah.
like Spider-Man it is just to move
Exactly.
around because the rhythm of that and the feel of that feels really good. And this could have a very similar thing. But if that's something that doesn't feel like, that's the make or break of the game right there.
Yeah.
Is how does it feel to move?
I also really like that they didn't just name her the Huntress. They just went, yeah, this is the hunter.
Well,
This
that's,
woman.
that's
deal with it.
copyrighted. So you know.
Well, they could have just called her Huntress, or like
No,
the name.
No, they couldn't.
Not the Huntress. What's copyrighted? The Huntress or Huntress? Do you know, Casey?
I feel like it's both. It's like how you can't have somebody called the Batman because he's Batman.
The game looks amazing graphically. I really like the hell spirit world thing that they kind of got going on.
Yeah.
It looks
It
crazy.
just didn't 100% sell me, and it's because I need to feel what that movement system feels like. If it feels
Yeah.
as good as Spider-Man, I'm sold. If it doesn't, that might break it. I think what Chris said just hits it right on hits the nail right on the round part, so to speak.
Since you don't think that this is worth a $60 purchase, do you think that they have an awareness of that and will probably do something like a free demo?
100%.
Yeah.
I wonder even
Yeah.
if this could be it could be a launch thing of where it's on PlayStation Plus, which they've done a few times.
Yeah.
With some stuff, including this week with Fall Guys.
Yeah.
It just launched for the first time and it's free for PlayStation Plus members.
This just doesn't hit me as a $60 title,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Definitely not.
Like, yeah.
But I mean, and that's okay. Like it's smaller teams, and there's been a lot of discussion in the industry about the price of video games at this point because they've been $60 for forever, and it takes a lot of time to work on games. So we're seeing more. While we do, obviously, there are giant AAA games, but we're seeing more smaller games with smaller studios that come out at smaller price points, and sometimes those are incredibly successful titles.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And sometimes those just are way better than AAA titles because the love and care is put into it, and the
Yep.
mythos and the graphics and everything just has to be right. Whereas you have like a large game, like we talked about Ghost of Tsushima last week. While it's amazing and beautiful, Chris experienced a crap ton of bugs, and since you said that, I've started seeing bugs in my
I
game.
ruined
right
it
now.
for you,
Really?
didn't I?
Yeah, my
Oh,
game is like,
wow.
wait, we can mess up, and now all of a sudden I'm just getting like all these weird like
What?
gravity fault, like physics bit bugs where I'm like
Gravity!
caught in between two places and I'm just flying there.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe I'm
Come
not.
on.
Maybe I'm just not bad. Maybe it was just bad bugs in the game.
nailed
Yeah,
it.
so
I'm
that's
so
what
bad.
we'll go
It's the children that are wrong.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any bugs in Tsushima. I'm surprised to hear that you're inundated with them. That's
I've
crazy.
started. Yeah, I've started.
What?
Although I'm on a
What?
classic PlayStation 4, not a Pro.
Me too.
So,
I
same
am
here.
I am as well.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Greg's the only fancy one of the group.
Yeah, I'm
then.
very fancy.
A fancy boy.
All right, moving on. Spelunky 2. I never played this game before. don't
I
really
love
know.
how
I'm really
enthusiastic this developer was about his
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's super
Spelunky 2. He was even like saying stuff like, "Oh, well, but I love to hear from fans from Spelunky." So I'm just like,
Families.
yeah, from
Families
families,
playing this
from
game
families in half, from from people who play my game. And I'm like, okay, I guess there's a core fan base that like tweets at this guy and sends him stuff like, "We love your game. Here's some highlights. Here's some moves. Here's some stuff that I did." Because the way he was talking about it, I was just like, "Neat, man. That's good for
Yeah.
you. That's
Yeah,
good
well,
for you, I guess." Neat.
Talk about supporting the smaller like indie devs and all of that. Like this guy literally, like I feel like he just like is sat at a computer and just made this whole game, and it just made his own commercial, and he's just like his own. I'm sure it's not the case. I'm sure there's many people that work on this, but it made me feel very similar to like James Cameron's Avatar, where he's just like, I made it this way, and I made it, like the way he's
I
talking about
developed
it.
a new
He's just
technology.
he's just sitting in front of like an old IBM computer, just like making Avatar from scratch. Where like I had that same vibe, like listening to him. He goes, yeah, like we got all this feedback. We heard what like families like they're playing this together, what they were using it for. We like really kind of like geared it towards them. It made me interested in this series enough to pick it up. I don't know, but like this was something I've heard of before, never on my radar in terms of playing. Looks kind of cool. I like the you can collect villagers and make like a little community, and like the villagers that they showed in the video were all very unique looking, so that made me kind of perk up a little bit. Yeah.
I played the first one very briefly and immediately got thrown out of the room because griefing is way too fun in that game. Which is unfortunate because you really are supposed to work together and the dangers are very real.
Wait, you griefing? I don't know if I believe that.
It's hard to believe.
It's really hard.
Played through 90% of Portal 2 with me.
Yes.
But
the 10% will never happen. The remaining 10%.
It could happen.
It would never happen.
You could get very desperate on a stream.
Do you think I'm going to forget?
I think you will never forget, and
I'll
neither
never
will
forget.
your audience.
That's true. That's very true.
But I have seen Let's Plays of this game, speed runs. It's huge. Like any game that has sort of a random element to it, where is procedurally generated the right word? I feel like that's not right.
Yeah, I think
no, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any procedurally generated game like this, like Rogue Legacy, Dead Cells, always exciting to watch.
Binding of Isaac.
Binding of Isaac. Oh, huge Binding of Isaac. But you never know what you'll get next. And the fact that this is co-op and a lot of those other games aren't, it's really one of the biggest draws.
Yeah.
So I'm jazzed too.
Awesome. Let's move on then.
Yeah.
Talk about Genshin Impact. Now, Casey, I want to know Casey's first thought when he saw this trailer. Because I'm hoping it's what I think it is.
I know exactly what he's gonna say.
Is this Fire Emblem?
That's where you went. I went.
Oh, yeah.
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
Breath
dude.
of the Wild anime.
So
that's what I went.
I saw this and I was like, dude, this is. I feel like there's another game that stole the elements from Breath of the Wild recently, and I'm confused as if this is the same game or not. But I saw this, I was like, all right, anime Breath of the Wild, I'm in. Like, I don't care. I don't care if they stole every element from that game. I'm in. It looks so fun to me.
It does. Yeah.
I definitely thought it was gonna be Everwild, which they just announced at the Xbox the Xbox thing. Everwild, it looks a little less over the top anime, but the idea is like some of the screenshots I was seeing was like giant kind of elemental creatures that you're fighting, and I was like, oh, I feel like I've seen that game, and then I was excited to see more Everwild, and then it wasn't. It was it was not.
I like that it has Digimon.
Yeah,
that's
They do look like
Gurumon
Digimon.
right there.
I mean, is this state of play just going to be us talking about how much these PlayStation exclusive games remind us of other
Nintendo games?
Yes.
It's not our
Nintendo
it's not our fault.
Because-
They're literally have the assets, like Jay said,
There's-
of other games that we like. Which to their credit, they're like, you know what, that game worked really well. Let's do that. But with our own feel, with our own crazy over the top anime feel. And we did have a preview of this earlier, I think sometime last year, because we talked about it. There was a very, very, very early thing they put out in which each one of the characters that you're seeing in the state of play video for this game has different elements. And then you also play as a singer character who can incorporate all those different elements. You have to switch all these different styles to defeat the enemies. I mean, it looks like a lot of fun, and I love the aesthetic. But I also love that it's so over the top anime, like all the moves, like the way you run, like everything, even down to like the villages. Or like super like the Eastern influence.
In my defense, Greg said, "What's my first impression?" And based on the character designs,
Okay,
I don't think
Fair.
Fire Emblem is too far off.
you're right on that. Yeah.
Thank you.
But no, just the grass. Like the grass is what stood out immediately to me, and I was like, oh, that's Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Just
I was
like the
like-
world traversal. The character kind of looks like Sasuke from Naruto, like straight up, like almost like the same like color scheme, like the white top, like the purple pants he wears with the rope and everything, and then he's got a mask. I'm just like that. It's kind of
emo attitude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's almost exactly like the hair and everything. It's almost, his mask looks like Sasuke's Susanoo. I'm like, wait a minute, are they just taking from like everything that's popular? Breath around over here. Naruto's over here. What else we got? I don't know. Kids like animals and stuff. Okay, let's you fight giant animals.
Hey, you got Zelda in my Naruto. You got Naruto in my Zelda.
Whoa!
It's
What's
a
the
Reese's
game?
cup of. Yeah, the whole time I saw them running around him, like, put your hands all the way behind you.
That's like a weird fetish. Yes. Oh yeah, enemy run. Yeah.
Yeah. This was I think the first game where I looked at it and I was like, that's a definite, I'm definitely picking this up. I don't care what it is. Like
$100.
this just looks like great to me and looks like a good time. So hopefully that maintains, and it's coming out this fall. So it's a huge plus. Next game, Aeon Must Die. When I was watching this, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna pick this up. It looks weird. It looks like not a solid take on what this game is, and then to find out that it was outsourced, I'm like, oh yeah, they don't know what it is either. They just like probably got a bunch of footage. They're like, yeah, put this together, you're fine.
Yeah.
So this is a hard pass for me, especially with all of this rumblings of what kind of happened with the developer and all that. So
I mean, I definitely get aesthetically big Dead Cells vibes from it, which I
Yeah.
love Dead Cells, even though I'm terrible.
I got more Streets of Rage vibes from it, if I'm being
Really?
honest. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems
Okay.
it seems a little bit more brawly than platformy.
Oh, I just meant in terms of looks.
Oh, looks. Oh, yeah.
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 I got
Again,
you.
Oh, yeah,
always-
makes sense.
I'm always an aesthetics first guy.
It also has that like Spider-Verse like weird animation, like animating on the threes or whatever too.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. I don't know. Everyone's trying that out now. Moving on anyways.
Yep.
I can never not, I'm gonna say Anno not gonna work here anymore. Anno Mutationum.
Speaking of looks kind of like Dead Cells.
Looks, yeah. So as I'm watching this, I'm just kind of like, what? So I was like, is it like a side-scrolling infinite runner 3D but 2D game?
3D, 2D, 3D, Cyberpunk. Not really sure what this game is.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
It looks kind of Guacamelee-ish too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, one of those enemies is straight the like giant thing with the skull face, like the anteater with the skull face. That is straight out of Guacamelee.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks visually interesting to me. I'd want to play a demo. I'd be very curious to see exactly what this game is. I do like the visual aesthetic, but it does come out December.
I think the
So-
camera is this weird to say? The camera is too smooth for as choppy as the animations are?
That makes sense.
I can see what
Yeah.
you mean, because like, we're moving through a world very smoothly as I guess like the third, the eye of the beholder, like the omnipresent thing, and the characters we're looking at are a bit janky, so it's kind of like throwing you off a little bit. But I think it's fine once the combat goes down, and the combat looks beautifully animated, and you don't even notice like the jankiness because of all like the like the sword fighting, the shooting.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. A game that I personally, I'm doing a lot of commentary on this one, right? When I introduce everything, a game that I didn't want to hear anything more about, but we did. Bug Snacks.
But it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and,
saw this. I was like, come on, man.
it's
I
almost
hate-
it's almost like
I
they're
hate
kind of
this
aware
game.
too, because even their characters like, really, this is your. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so they were aware. So why is it a thing? Weird. It's basically kind of with the chance of meatballs the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
also,
accurate.
Acid Trip, the game.
Yeah. That too.
I just think it's marketed to a younger crowd. I'm still not 100% sure what we're looking at, but it definitely. I mean, it's got big googly eyes
It's,
and
de-
wacky commentary.
It's Viva Pinata.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of
At
Viva
this
Pinata.
point, if what sort of gameplay they've shown here, it's Viva Pinata for a new generation, which I'm all about, but it is deeply unsettling.
Yeah.
How they eat the wildlife and like gain hot dog arms. Like, I think if I was a kid, I'd find that cute, but now I just find it horrifying.
And unsettling.
It's really, really
It's like those-
unsettling.
It's like those answer the internet questions. Like, would you rather have hot dogs for arms or like, or like spaghetti for legs?
Would you like to fight 100 hot dog sized horses or one horse sized hot dog? That didn't work.
No.
You're close.
Yeah. I mean, this game definitely has more of a narrative than I thought it was going to, considering I think this dev's previous work was Octodad, which was just kind of like
Oh. This is
Goofy
the
Makes
Octodad
a lot
game?
of sense now.
It's
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
I could be
Wait,
making
now,
that up.
It's only now that you guys put that one together.
Well, they talked about this on the it wasn't the last State of Play, but maybe the PlayStation event, and they were like from the devs of Octodad. So yeah,
That's
it
right.
makes
Yeah, I
sense.
remember that. Yeah, which it does make sense why this game is the way it is now. But
Yep.
I do hope they have like all these like cheeky names for all the little characters like they did with kind of with a chance of meatballs. Like I remember like watching that with my buddy Alex, of course, and his family, and just having a lot of fun at all the different character names they were coming out with. I'm like, oh come on, it's just bad food puns for these characters, but they were so stupid
Yeah.
that it was so good. It was so funny. Yeah,
Vader,
What's happening?
Immortal,
Oh.
PlayStation VR, Star Wars.
Oh, hey, a game where you get to play as another Jedi who has no lasting impact on the universe.
But like,
Wow.
so this I think is whenever we were playing any sort of game where you got any ability at PAX or one of the other events that we went to where we got to try out these indie VR games, it's always like, man, like what if we could just have a Star Wars VR game? And that's what they're doing here, right?
Well, let me pull a page out of Casey Kasem's playbook and take you back to a game from a nicer time.
I already hate this bit. I don't
Do
know where
you-
it's
where-
going.
do you
Where's
remember-
where's this going?
Do you remember Star Wars Trilogy Arcade?
Yes.
I
No,
believe so.
not
Yeah.
really.
It's the you played it with it was played with a stick, and it had
Oh,
a couple
yeah,
of
yeah.
different it had a couple of different modes, and you may remember it mostly from like its attract mode, like what it would show when people weren't playing the game to kind of draw you in. And it's a lightsaber fight on the second Death Star with Darth Vader, and it's in first person, and it's just like this. But this is way more improved.
But this
because
is
you can-
VR.
Yeah, this
So
is
you
VR.
get depth perception.
And
Yeah.
this has like actual story and stuff too. Like I heard like the game's actually pretty good. I haven't played it yet, even though I have a Rift. But everyone's like, oh, have you played it? It's actually pretty good. Yada yada. Like I remember going to Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, and there was just like the longest line for trying to play this game. And people actually got out of the demo. They were like, wow, that was actually pretty neat. Like I felt like I was Vader for the first time. There was even
Yeah, I was
someone
just
who is like a 501st member that cosplays as Darth Vader, and he was like, I finally felt what it felt like to be him. Even though I professionally cosplay as him every single day of my life or every single convention, I finally felt it. I felt the force. I felt the movement. It was all there, and I was just like, oh wow, damn, that's your raving review. Holy crap. Because when the guy got out, I was just like, hey man, how was it? Because I know you're a 501st member. He was like, dude, like, I finally felt it. I was like, oh, crap. I was like, are they paying you to say that? Because I know you're 501st. You got to get paid to be here. He's like, no. Like, he's like, I had to wait too. I had no like special whatever privilege, but like, it was actually pretty good. So now they're porting it over, I guess, to the PlayStation VR. So everyone who has a PlayStation can check it out for themselves. Oh, it looks interesting.
It does look very interesting. At first, I was like, you're playing as Vader, and then you're not playing as Vader, but then you are playing as Vader, and I was like, okay, interesting. Moving on.
It's probably gonna be the little like tickle your balls tease that Force Unleashed gave you, where you play as Vader for the first time.
I love how Casey stopped the next segment and the
I
segue
was
for
gonna say,
that.
I feel like
it's never good. It's never good.
I
when he
feel
does
like
it.
everyone just got together before recording, which is like whenever Greg says move along, just put in another
bring
point.
it
Now you know how it
Right back.
feels.
One
Now you
more
know how
point.
it feels.
No. Hold on. I really think that the Vader sections in this game are going to be like Force Unleashed, where you get a little taste and then you have to play as some schmuck the whole rest of the game.
Work your way back up to those powers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Moving on.
Right, pause, waiting for maybe Casey has another bit, and maybe he doesn't. Maybe
No,
it's
no,
something.
there anything
Maybe
else?
another reference to tickling your balls, whatever reason that came out. Choice of words.
Moving on. This is actually something I'm very excited about. This is not a PlayStation exclusive by any means, but the new Control DLC has a date. I thought it was supposed to come out in July, and I was really bummed that it didn't. Now it's coming out August 27th. Looks like more of the same, which is a-okay with me because I really like Remedy games, and I love what they've done with the Control title. It's connected all of the other Remedy games, at least in terms of Alan Wake and Quantum Break and this. What's interesting is when you're playing Control, you go through, you get all these little collectibles, and they start mentioning things like the characters from Quantum Break. Alan Wake is specifically mentioned, And this is the second and I think final DLC for this title.
Say it ain't so.
It's called AWE, which in the game stands for Altered World Event, which is yeah. So it's very like almost like Fringe. It's like Fringe, what that was for a show in video game form. You'll see a glimpse of a bearded character that shows up in there. People are speculating that that might be Alan Wake because that's not a character that I recognize from Control. So, but also like whenever
Shared
Remedy does anything,
universe?
everyone's well, yes, I just said it was a shared universe.
I know,
It's all.
I'm
But
sorry.
Wait a minute, a shared universe?
A shared universe, a
Shared.
universe shared with all the things.
So this is very exciting because if that is him, maybe we get some bleed in from the enemies from that game into here. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. It looks great. It's a great game. If you haven't picked it up already, I do highly recommend it. That guy right there was just cool. All right.
Yeah. And also you really enjoyed Alan Wake too, so like to
I love
possibly
Alan
see
Wake.
him in this and in another
Yes.
really good game, Control. If you guys haven't picked it up, it's a crazy game. Like I haven't played it myself, but I watched streamers and I was just like,
It's
oh
nuts.
wow, what?
I do recommend playing on mouse and keyboard and not playing on a controller.
Really?
Despite the fact that we're talking about a PlayStation event right now, because I've seen streamers, specifically our friend Squalls, play this, right? And she was like just having, I don't want to like say she was having a hard time on the game and no one better tell her I said this, but like it looked like she was legitimately struggling, not because of her skill level, but because it just looked tough to play with the controller. And me on mouse and keyboard, it's just like so much easier to, and feels better aiming this like giant piece of rubble that you're holding in the air, like floating above all your enemies and like raining down debris. Just feels better and it's more precise. So if you have the opportunity, I do recommend it on PC, but it's still a great game no matter what. And it looks beautiful and it is well voice acted, and even the glitches on there are kind of funny, which breaks the illusion a little bit, but whatever. I can't believe this next game is just not team fight tactics. That's my first thought. What do you guys think about auto chess?
I am very confused.
Yeah, I was super confused when all of a sudden I was like, oh, it's like what orcs must die or something, you know, like visuals.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, it's guys duking it out on a ska trombonist shoes. And auto chess.
It literally just looks like TFT, but crazier, more particles.
I just
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
I knew chess. And is this what the kids are playing these days? Is this what they play in Star Trek?
Wait, you
Like-
guys don't see this when you play like regular chess?
these are the visuals in your mind when you're playing. It's all epic with the
This one's
particles coming
so
out and everything.
powerful.
It looks like a mobile game,
Yeah, it does look like a
does.
mobile
It
game.
does.
like straight up mobile.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
that'd be a
Absolutely does.
sweet mobile game.
Part of me had to wonder if the head of PlayStation was selling out to the man like a
The 10
YouTube
cent?
star.
10 cent, no. They're doing deals with everyone.
What if your chess game was a MOBA?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
whatever.
actually like the dinner pitch meeting they had over in Japan. Like he flew over to
Yes.
Japan, he was just like, I have something for you. Go on.
Yeah.
He's like, no, that's
He's just-
he's like that's the idea. Like,
He's just looking down
that's-
like the placemat for their food, and it's just checking. She's like, "Oh, I've got it. Listen."
I feel like this state of play has been very like, I've seen this before, and it's what the hell am I looking at? That's been like the two themes going on. This next one falls in the latter category, the pedestrian. What do you guys think? I love
What's happening?
I'm on board.
We've seen
Yeah.
this game before, haven't we?
Yeah, this is it coming to PlayStation for the first time.
Okay.
But
I
I think this
really?
game
I haven't seen this at all.
I've heard that this game is actually phenomenal.
It looks like beautiful, and it's a very
Oh, yeah.
interesting idea.
I love it. I want it. This is I think of like next to Crash, this is probably my number 2. of,
really?
like,
What,
really?
what,
Wow.
what was it about this game that sold you on it?
I'm gonna pull a Casey. It's the aesthetic is like
Hell yeah.
really freaking cool. I mean, it looks puzzly, platformy, with really awesome visuals. I mean, piece of this kind of looks like The Witness a little bit about the way you walk, like you turn the camera turns and it's like a different puzzle. Yeah, I'm on board. I want this.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Next up, Hood Outlaws and Legends. This is going
Too
to be a
many
PlayStation. Yeah, it's going to be a PlayStation 5 release. We didn't really get too much out of this.
I think the multiplayer potential for this is very impressive.
I think it's only multiplayer.
You do?
That's what I got out of this. This whole thing is just like, we're sneaky sneaks, and I have a crew, and we
Get
are
your
going to
squad
sneaky
of
sneak the
boys.
thing. And then you see someone lurking in the background, and then someone else is like, I am the sneakier of the sneaks, and I am going to kill the sneaks. To
Look
get
at
the
us, just
sneaky thing.
two teams sneaking around.
Yeah. So it's gonna be Evolve, but Robin Hood.
That's what I think.
Evolve. But Robin Hood. Oh, I remember Evolve.
I think if to me it looks more like Payback, like it's just like crew versus crew is what this looks like to me.
Yeah.
Which I'm not opposed to. I just want to see gameplay. I want to see what it's supposed to be, not just like, gore and like, getting stabbed and bashed. Like I know that's going to happen. Like I know this is going to be a mature rated game based off of the visual aesthetic alone. You don't have to show me an arrow going through a neck from stabbing with the arrow, not anything else.
Well, you don't miss if you stab it with the arrow.
Yeah, it's one of the
you
more
know what?
effective
You're not
ways to
wrong.
use an arrow.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Yeah, I'm always miffed when game companies now show. I mean, we said it in the last state of play, the last like Xbox showcase. I think we're past the point of just cinematic trailers. We need gameplay. You know
Unless
what I mean?
there's
I mean,
a story. If there's a trailer that introduces a story,
yeah,
then that's the case. But that's not really what's happening here. It's kind of just a showcase.
yeah, and I think certain titles, like if they do release just like a cinematic trailer, it can do it justice. Like in the next Elder Scrolls game, like they showed us like a little teaser. They're like, oh, your Elder Scrolls game, here's a city off in the distance, Elder Scrolls. It's like, ooh, I'm sold already.
But that's because you know how the game's gonna play.
Exactly. But get games like this, we're like, okay, what is this? And they're like, no gameplay yet, cinematic trailer. I mean, how is that supposed to season our chops? So they have our juices flowing for this game.
Yeah, we don't know anything about this yet.
Yeah, we can't really sink our teeth into this. There's really nothing here. I mean, it's beautiful, and we're all kind of caught up on graphics nowadays, so we can't really be impressed like we used to years ago with like, holy crap, look at the cinematic trailer. Like, it looks insane. Yeah, the games look like this now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't really do much to like wow the audience to show us a cinematic trailer. I mean, it used to, but it doesn't anymore. So I think the industry has to kind of like get out of that. It's like make the push for your developers to give us something. I mean, look at look.
Oh, he's
I
broken.
can't look at them if you don't tell me who they are.
Yeah.
Remember that game that everyone thought was going to be the Destiny Killer?
The Order.
Yeah.
Oh, not that.
I remember that too. Holy crap!
Remember that one?
Oh, the order. I mean,
The Order.
the
That
order
was
is pretty still.
$60 for 3 hours.
Oh yeah, no.
Is
That
that
price
what it
was definitely really off.
The Order
Yeah.
1886 or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a
Thanks,
very,
man.
very short game. But no, I meant the quote unquote Destiny Killer, the one where
Oh
you have
my
all these
God.
like Tony Stark looking like robot exoskeletons.
Anthem.
Yeah.
Anthem,
exactly. That's why I was laughing because it came out through this crazy documentary and all these documents that when they showed the quote unquote gameplay at E3, the developers hadn't made the game yet. They didn't know what they were doing, and they were like, "We're supposed to pull that off." I was like, "Holy!"
They kept
crap.
changing whether there was gonna be the ability to fly or not, almost month to month.
Yeah, like they had no idea what the systems were, and they
Yeah.
all were like terribly compartmentalized, working on different parts of the game, and none of them had any like cohesion. They're like, wait a minute, that's what we're supposed to do. But I mean, at least they put. I'm laughing because I'm like, at least they put something out. Like, here's representative, somewhat gameplay, and it wasn't really like a cinematic so like for this game, maybe fudge it like that. Show us what the game should be, and then we get an idea of it. And then later on, your developers are like, okay, the state of play, you showed us what the game's going to be. We have to make it now. But that's what. So at least for Anthem, we kind of knew that's what we were supposed to be getting. You know, instead of like, here's a cinematic trailer of a robot suit flying around. So I don't know. So my point is like the gaming industry kind of has to like shift to showing us something budget like Anthem did. I mean, at least that gave us something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just that we just need better trailers. Like the Anthem trailer was it was a good trailer for that. I mean, even think of like Death Stranding. Again, I'm still going back to Death Stranding. Like that, those trailers were like crazy, and they didn't show really any of the gameplay at all. I just think that maybe we're just not seeing great great trailers.
I also think Death Stranding is his own deal, right? Because like everyone's like, oh, it's Kojima. Like we're buying this no matter what. And
Yeah.
it could literally just be him staring into the camera for 30 seconds. Not a single, doesn't do anything, just stares at him. It's like a still, but they make it seem like it's not a still. People be like, this means something.
True. Everything Kojima did like leading up to the game, we're like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
It could have been an
Wonder.
accident, like an absolute accident.
Yeah.
He just accidentally FaceTime to like
Like
into
go
a
live
feed
by
and
accident on Twitch and it's just like staring.
I remember people were like analyzing like his tweet, even like his personal tweets of him just like having fun in Japan. We're like, what does this mean for Death Stranding? Something. We got to talk about it for 30 minutes. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
He's
Man,
like he's like one of the last true visionaries in gaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but at some point, I don't like. Did you hear what he said about Death Stranding before,
No.
like years before it came out? He was like, "When I made Metal Gear, there wasn't a stealth genre. This game is gonna be like that." So he was just like, "Yeah, make up a new genre." Did he though?
no,
I mean,
Paperboy was already made.
Paperboy was.
That's true. I played, that was my first time playing through a Kojima game. Like I
Yeah.
played a little bit of Metal Gear 1, but I lost interest just because
Really?
just because it's not my like that style of game was at the time. Maybe I'll like go back and revisit or
It's
something
also
like
a
that.
lot to take in.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta really like want to figure out the story to figure out the story.
You also have to have like a strong mental fortitude to play a game of his.
Yeah.
Because after you're playing one, like having the whole like Mantis thing happen, like you need to be prepared for whatever creepiness leaks out of his brain.
So leaks
Yeah.
out of
Like
his
the
brain.
rain.
How
Well,
dare you, sir? That is now Kojima.
No, that's a pretty good explanation of probably how the thing worked, how his
Yeah.
ideas come out.
Imagine the next Metal Gear game. He just literally invades your cloud storage and your cloud like info and just goes to your contacts and like calls your mom.
Kojima's just
Loose.
Kojima's just like in this little box underneath my feet right now, and he's just like pops out and he's like, "You're gonna be the next Snake," and I'm like, "I knew it."
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, ring.
All right. So another thing we've already seen this year, Temtem.
Yeah, I forgot this is a
Oh.
thing.
Yep.
You
This is a
mean
thing.
Pokemon?
I can't believe it's not Pokemon.
Oh my
And it-
god. The cinematics even look the same.
I know. Yeah, but the difference is this is multiplayer, right? And it looks like a little more
MMO.
MMOE, which is kind of interesting. This is already on early access
I just
on PC.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
like it's coming to PlayStation, which is kind of cool. It does look interesting, but like the thing that makes Pokemon, in my opinion, memorable are the character designs, the Pokemon designs, but like not the new ones necessarily, but like the classic ones, right?
yeah.
And they just kind of exploded from there. And I feel like Temtem is kind of lacking in that department based on what I've seen. Like we'll see ultimately if I'm proven wrong. I'm more than happy to be proven wrong about these kind of things. There's nothing I like more than when I play a game and I love it. And I originally just like was just all salty about it because it's a ripoff. It's a ripoff of a ripoff. It's ripping off like Digimon, really, if you look at it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
But-
it's weird too because it's so close to Pokemon and Digimon that it's not that you kind of just like you're low key kind of angry. You're like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Create
Yeah.
something else. These are
doesn't
beloved
even
titles.
look
How
as
dare
cool.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when you like you said, you look at their character design, you're like, okay, they're neat. Like maybe somebody will want plushies of this, some merchandising, but I'm not really interested. Like I was watching when the early access first dropped, I was watching some streamers play who were just like, but by the way, everybody, this is an ad. I'm playing this game because I'm being paid to. The streamers were saying because they have to tell you when they're
Yeah.
sponsored. And then afterwards, I've never seen those streamers play the game again. So that tells you something. They got their bag, the little coin purse, and they were out of there. Because you have seen streamers who are like, hey, by the way, this is an ad. I'm playing this game, and then you see them playing that game like later on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they actually liked it. It was actually fun, but I haven't seen any of those same people come back to this game, and I think it's because it's like Pokemon. I mean, it's tough because
Similar.
like they're trying something here. They have like a neat aesthetic style, nice animations, but I'm not gripped. I really don't care about any of these characters.
Man, if
Yeah.
Pokemon couldn't grip me in this generation.
Wait, what do
there's
you mean
no way
Pokemon
anything-
didn't grip? Wait, do you not like?
Well, first
Wait,
of all,
Did I not
first of
know
all,
this that you don't like Pokemon?
he doesn't
I'm
like the
over
new Pokemon.
I'm over it, dude.
He refused to play.
Dude,
Also,
I play. Hold on.
phrasing,
I
Casey,
played.
phrasing.
Oh yeah. Well, if Geodude couldn't get my rocks off this gen, no.
There you go. That's
There
better.
we go.
That's
Got
better.
it.
That's
Got it.
better.
Workshopped it. Got it.
No,
There we go. We got there.
Sunk
I
it.
Just for
played,
you.
I played Pokemon X and Y, but you know me, I'm a completionist, and I completed the Pokedex in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and that was such a fucking ordeal. But there was more stuff, no national Pokedex. Oh, they're rolling it over time. You need to pay for this separate thing so you can store your Pokemon like on a separate server because the game doesn't have the capacity to do it. It was one thing after another, and Pokemon Go integration and all these other things. And I'm like, the Pokemon world has expanded too much. I'm an old man. I'm not ready for this anymore. So even something like Temtem, where it's like everything's new and everything's contained within the game. I'm hyperbolizing here. I'm hoping that that's the case, but like I'm just over the JRPG gather tiny monsters and use them to fight shit, man. I'm woke now. I know that shit's wrong. It ain't right. I don't know.
Anyways,
Moving
now that
on.
Casey's ruined all of our childhoods.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I still love
Moving
you, though.
on. This is a game. The next game is something that we've known about for quite some time, but we haven't seen it really in action. Talking about Godfall coming out for the PlayStation 5. They're saying it's going to be a launch title.
Godfall.
This is going to be published by Gearbox, which is Gearbox announced this for me, the first time I saw this was at PAX this past year, right? And they're like, this is our new game. And like, I thought they were making it for a minute. And then when you really look into it, they're not. They're just publishing it. What did you guys think about this first look at Godfall?
I feel like loot and slash does not have the same kick to it as loot and shoot or loot shooter.
Yeah.
So I'm already kind of like, couldn't you have thought of something, I don't know, better, like cash and slash?
Oh no, but that implies microtransactions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Heavily.
Yeah.
Give us the cash if you want to slash.
Give us
People
the
were like,
cash.
wow, it's crazy. Godfall. That was
Hey.
canceled. Cancel
Hey.
Godfall.
You don't know, it could still happen. They didn't say anything in this one,
That's
did
true.
they?
Gearbox,
yeah, I
generally,
think-
if they're publishing it, I don't.
And I think
know.
one of the other ones they said no micros, it's all earned. I think
Okay,
one of the
well,
early
well,
like
one,
Yeah.
thank God.
Yeah.
But two, now we finally got a real taste of what this game is supposed to be. Like the first trailer we got the last time we covered PlayStation, it was kind of like, what the fuck am I looking at? Like it looks like pretty generic, like sorcery type junk.
sword sorcery.
I'm very excited about this based on what I've seen so far.
It looks cool.
It looks like it plays really well. I'm kind of bummed that there's not more weapon diversity other than you have your longsword, your dual blades, your pole arm, your two-handed warhammer, and a two-handed greatsword. But I guess maybe that's all you really need.
Wait, well, what other weapons do you want? Some tonfas, some nunchucks,
Like
some
what about
hooskadoos
like,
without the
let's get it-
scooter stick.
So like if you're making a melee-based weapon game, move one. Just rip off the Ninja Turtles. That's all you need to do is get all of the weapons that they have. That's 4 different classes without any originality right
Get your
there.
sword, get your side, you get your pole.
Monster Hunter, man, like that has a
Yeah.
pretty wider array.
Yeah.
I am not super stoked for this game. To be
Neither am
honest,
I.
it reminds me
What?
of
As a Destiny player?
It reminds me of Infinity Blade, the like mobile game. Just because so
Mm.
every encounter that we see in this is like not super impressive. It's like 1 or 2 guys. Like obviously the game, the visuals look gorgeous.
Yeah.
The animations are smooth, but the gameplay, like it seems thin.
It reminds me of Warframe, kind of, actually.
Yeah.
now that
A little
we're
bit,
talking
yeah.
about it.
The
Very
movement
like
and-
corridor based.
Yeah. And the hits that they have with the sword, they doesn't seem like there's a lot of weight to them. Like I think we might have talked even in like his shield looks like Kratos' shield from God of War, but it doesn't seem like like a God of War style fighting.
Right.
Which
Right.
is
It's fast.
That's what I like about it, though, is like they reward you for being aggressive. They say that they want you to move in, they want you to just go crazy, which is also very Warframe.
on the 2
Yes.
enemies that are in front of you though. Like that's not that
Yeah,
doesn't look
there's that
very
too,
exciting.
right?
Well, they
There's-
said you'd be fighting larger groups. I
Yeah, we'll
think.
see. This is going to be a launch title, so like everyone set your expectations for launch title expectations.
Yeah.
Right? Like so that's just a different genre of game, essentially. There is the rare oddity that is a really great addition to it, but usually you forget about them after a little bit, like Killzone when it came out on PlayStation 4.
Killzone. Oh my god, I
Oh,
forgot
no.
about that game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
wasn't Infamous Second Son wasn't that a launch title?
Again, the rare oddity that comes
Yeah.
through.
But I like that game. I love
Yeah,
that
that's
game.
why
That's
that's
the
what I
oddity.
said. There are exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, for every like Killzone and Octodad, and what was that other one? Where it's like you played with Shadow and like you could it was like a platform. I don't remember. It was not
Limbo?
important. No.
No.
It was it had a very noir feel to it. It was
I know what you mean, but I can't remember what it is.
I can't remember it, whatever, it doesn't matter. But like there are those kind of like rare occasions where Infamous will come through, but like more often than not, we're just like whatever. They show off the cool new stuff about the new system, and that's it. That's what they're designed for, right? This one I like it. Like, I think it just looks cool, but it's gonna depend on if you have to rely on playing with other people, and it's gonna rely on how big the mobs get for sure.
Yep.
And it's also going to rely on the loot. They say it's a very even skill versus loot kind of focus where they go hand in hand with each other. One is just important as the other, but ultimately we'll see. Like I've heard that many a time, and skill always comes out on top.
Yeah,
So-
I wonder if this serves as the PlayStation 5, the demo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is
Yeah.
what like they're like. Okay, we have PlayStation 5 as a launch
Oh.
title. Here's all the stuff this thing can do early on, right? Because we know early on in any like the development cycle, it's like okay, we kind of get the architecture, we kind of get the game mechanics, we kind of get what we can do to push it. I mean, look what they did with like like Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us, with the end of this generation. So the beginning of this generation, they're like, all right, we got to get the particle effects, we got to get this, the combat, the lighting, all the graphics, all that stuff out there. So I wonder if like this is PS5.
The tech demo.
Here's what it is. Here's what it is, guys. Like here's what you can look
Well,
forward
I mean,
to.
they said it. What we were seeing was built on a dev kit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is,
that's
I
true.
mean, I think that's very telling of exactly
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, like when you buy a PlayStation 5, you're gonna need games for it, and that's where a lot of these games make that like quick buck, essentially, right?
Like Knack.
So this
Like now.
Or
Oh
Knack
my
2,
god,
baby.
that is what I
Another
was
one.
thinking of.
Dude, I remember
Uh,
like playing Knack for the first time on PlayStation. Like, whoa, look at all these particles. Whoa, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this will probably be one that I'll pick up on launch day because I'll need something to test out my PlayStation 5 that's not a PlayStation 4 game.
Yeah, and like, did they say they said co-op, right? Like you can play with people.
It's up to 3 people, yeah.
Up to
It's you
3
and two
people, okay.
buddies,
That's
yeah.
a fire team, my friend.
That is a fire team because
Yeah.
I mean people are describing it as like Destiny with melee combat.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
And I hope so because I really love like the hangout portion of Destiny where you just launch in with your friends, you go on an adventure in like beautiful landscapes with like really cool weapons. So I don't know. Hopefully it'll give you that vibe because I really like RPG. So we'll see how in depth this thing gets.
That's the other thing about the levels that we're seeing are so
Yeah.
constrained. Where like
Yeah.
Destiny, you have like much wider like areas that you can fight, and the same thing with like God of War. But everything is so like
It looks very
layout.
limited and narrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Greg, it's like you were saying with what Warframe, very corridory,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
like go down this path, and then the level's done. Okay, cool. Then you go up into a spaceship. I don't know, or like it loads into like a different part of the game.
Back
like
to the hub.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you go back to a hub. That's what it kind of seems like, kind of like Monster Hunter, where like you're in a hub type world, then you go down to this certain part, you defeat the monster, and then you go back. But yeah, I wonder how it's going to play out in the end when you play with your buddies. Maybe it plays a lot better than it looks because right now it looks okay. It looks
yeah. I'm sold on it.
yeah.
If this
Serviceable.
wasn't like gonna be a new console title, I might wait maybe if it drops down to like 40 bones or maybe 30, but like at launch, new console, yeah, absolutely. And that's what they're probably counting on. I think
Yeah.
it is going to depend on if it's like we're seeing very corridor based or very open based, because a lot of what makes Destiny so much fun for me was doing like the little dailies and all that stuff with your friends, just
Yeah.
going out in the world, just shooting up things, and imagine that, but just slashing things around and figuring out new combos that you can do together and all of that, because that's what a slasher has over a shooter is. It's a little more coordination up close. So we'll
But
see.
it
We'll see
seems-
what happens.
This seems too fast to have that kind of team-based coordination.
I don't think so, because
I don't
imagine
know.
like you knock an enemy back into your buddy who's got the dual blades who finishes them off with a combo.
I guess, but they also make it seem like the game is catered to, like almost like Dynasty Warriors, where it caters to like one man versus.
I
an
don't think
army.
it's gonna be as crazy as Dynasty Warriors. I really don't. Based
Okay.
off of what we've seen, I don't think it's gonna be that crazy.
Hmm.
That last scene, which is what it was on screen right now, It gives me hope that it's going to be a little more open.
Yeah, because even like the in the state of play gameplay trailer we're watching right now, they're showing more open landscapes, even though they should have done that in the actual part of the combat portion of the video. It's like, oh, combat portion of the video. Let's show you corridor fighting, but later on, let's show you a bit open landscapes. I'm like, okay, is that just to whet our appetite for? It's like, oh, okay, we're gonna show you this certain part of the game. This just to highlight combat. Now, look, there's open fields and stuff. I'm like, okay, but show us how the combat flows. Like, I don't know, maybe
Right.
like Greg, so you're banking on that it's the opening title.
Yeah.
You were just like, yep, I'll get it.
It could just be that the corridors play much smoother at the moment than the other ones as well.
That's
Because
entirely possible,
if you
yeah.
notice, we were really only seeing one environment that you were playing in, different areas of that environment, but it was the one environment. So and that's probably what it is. Like what we see with the courtyard with like the Medusa things roaming around, like that's clearly like pre-rendered.
Right.
Versus the fights in the corridors are actual gameplay.
Yeah, but we'll see. This is going to be a launch title, so we're going to get it in what, 3 or 4 months, something like that.
That's
We're
crazy.
getting real
wow, that's
close.
crazy.
It's real close to
Wow.
PS5.
Real close right now.
They still haven't
Coronavirus
officially
time, man.
told us how much it's gonna cost.
I know.
That's true.
I
Do
know.
I hear
Tell us
600?
the
Do
day
I hear
before.
7?
I don't imagine it'll go higher than 6. I would imagine the discless version is, I almost said something else.
Yeah,
That's
Well
why I
done,
laughed.
Greg.
PlayStation,
Well done.
you and your disc and your discless versions.
Excuse me, it's called the Unique Edition.
What a discount.
So that one I would imagine be 500, and I imagine the one with the disc drive will be 600.
I'm holding out for 4 and 5.
Yeah, I don't think it's, I think they're gonna get the extra 100. I hope they don't get the extra 100 off of what I just said, because that's a big, like, I don't know, man.
You just see the announcement of the price, and we'd like to thank one Greg, name redacted, from Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah,
I also love how like
thanks.
Xbox 2 also didn't give us any price. It's like, are they playing price chicken at this point? They're trying to
100%. They did it
like,
last
they're
gen, too.
trying to
Arms
undercut
race.
each other. You
Yep.
know, like they're
Yeah.
it's like no, you go, no, you go, no, you go, no, please, no, you go, no,
Well,
you
well,
go,
if you-
you announce, no, I'm gonna undercut you, I'm gonna undercut you, you son of a.
Well, no one wants to be the expensive system anymore, because that happened with
Exactly.
PlayStation 3, right? Everyone was like $500-600 for PlayStation 3. Xbox is like 300
Yeah.
or 400.
But I think PlayStation's in the position now where they can just say whatever they want for a price. Nobody's going to really care.
No, because that's what they thought with PlayStation 3, because the PlayStation 2 was the cheaper of the alternatives. It's been going back and forth, because then Xbox One came out and they made that like, yeah, you have to go online once and blah, 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 and do all these things. Then you have to like, you can't even let your friends borrow your games. Not that like, I don't know, I really let that happen too much anymore. But
Yeah, don't touch my fucking game.
yeah, get your
Yeah,
grubby
never got my
hands off
copy of
games.
Jet Moto again.
I
But, like-
remember that. I remember that E3, and then right afterwards,
Yeah.
PlayStation came out. It's like, oh, you don't have to be online. You can share your games with whoever. I was like, damn.
So, and then they had that commercial where it's like, hey, this is how you let your friends borrow your PlayStation 4 game. And he like hands it, here, you can borrow this. Thanks.
I was
Cut.
like, damn.
Yeah, they went for it. They went for it.
It's,
All
it's
right.
almost if they did like some Oppo like research. They're like, oh, they're saying this. Oh, we gotta come back with this. We got.
They had 2 versions of that presentation. The one they did, and the one if Microsoft didn't pull all that bananas right
Yeah.
there. Right. All right. With that being said, that is going to be all of the time that we have for this episode of Button Smash. I want to take a moment to thank everyone for coming in and hanging out with us on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over at twitch.tv/We Are Rogue Matter, because Rogue Matter is a proud part of the Rogue Matter. Button Smash is a proud part of the Rogue Matter network. I'm still getting used to all the new stuff. And I was your host for this particular episode, Booster Greg. And like Serge said so eloquently and so perfectly, we'll see you next time, or we'll see you another time.